From stories around the world to stories here at home, this is the National News Broadcast. A pleasant evening. I'm Dulanjali Ananda.
A very good evening to you. I'm Lakshita Singha. Coming up first are the headlines for tonight.
The Minister of Justice states that the government will not hesitate to take necessary decisions when suppressing the underworld and drug smuggling. A haul of narcotics worth 1 million rupees seized by the police, 3 women arrested. A committee appointed to study the proposed 20th amendment. The traffic lane rule is to be re-implemented from tomorrow. The novel Petha receives the Swarna Pustaka Award for the best novel of the year. The decision on the UNP leadership tomorrow. Fires devastate 6 small towns in the western regions of America.
For those and other stories in detail. 25 inmates have reportedly withdrawn from the fast launched by a group of inmates of the Busa prison. Prison's Commissioner General Tusharopul Denia states that the fast launched by a group of 45 inmates was underway for the 4th day today. However, 20 inmates engaged in the fast are still refusing food. Minister of Justice Ali Sabri, expressing his views on the situation, stated that discussions are underway. However, certain details cannot be disclosed to the media. He says that the required decisions will be taken in a manner in which the rights of all are protected and the security of the country is affirmed and in the best interests of the future of the youth. A haul of narcotics worth over 1 million has been seized by the Police Crimes Division. 3 women have been arrested whilst 27 grams of heroin in the possession of 2 of the women were confiscated by the police. The police discovered in the possession of the 3rd woman 10 grams of heroin, 4 grams of mawa and 29 packets of Kerala cannabis. The Hanwala police, in a raid carried out in the Hanwala town yesterday, arrested 4 individuals in possession of 12 grams of heroin. The suspects, who are residents of Orugodavatta and Hanwala, were remanded today. The Yakkalamulla police in Gaul yesterday apprehended 7 suspects in possession of 8 firearms, including a foreign weapon. The Batticaloa police yesterday apprehended 2 suspects, including the individual notorious under the alias Dhanu, who is believed to be the leader of the gang operating in the area under the name Kadupahara. Several swords and grenades were seized. The police state that Dhanu has 9 court cases filed against him and 4 complaints lodged at the Minor Crimes Division. The suspects will be produced before the Batticaloa Magistrates Court tomorrow. The Organised Crimes Prevention Division of the Special Task Force, in an operation conducted, arrested 3 suspects who have assisted in the smugglings carried out by drug kingpin and organised criminal Dodanduwa Vaduge Kalum Indike alias Kavuma. The arrestees included an individual who facilitated technical support to the organised criminal to distribute firearms and live bullets among underworld gangs in Colombo by concealing them in sacks of rice to transport in lorries.
Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa has appointed a committee to study the proposed 20th amendment to the Constitution. The committee will submit its report to the Premier on the 15th. The committee is chaired by Minister Professor G.L. Piris, whilst the other members are Ministers Udaya Gammampila, Ali Sabri, Nimal Siripala de Silva and Wimal Weerawansha, State Ministers Susil Premjayant and S. Vyalendran, and Parliamentarians Dilan Pereira and Premnath C. Dolavatta.
The traffic lane rule, which was temporarily halted in the Western Province due to the COVID-19 epidemic, will be reimposed from tomorrow. The police state that the motorists will be educated on the traffic lane rule for 3 days until the 16th before its re-implementation. The traffic lane rule was successfully implemented in the recent past. However, with the imposition of curfew during the spread of the coronavirus, the rule was not enforced. The police have decided upon the advice of President Gotabaya Rajapaksa to re-implement the traffic lane rule as the country has returned to normalcy. The reintroduction of the traffic lane rule will be effected under the full supervision of Western Province Senior DIG Deshabandhu Tennakon. Thereby, the traffic lane rule will be in force from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. tomorrow along 4 main roads under the initial stages. The traffic lane rule will be effective along Sri Javadhanapura Mawata and from Polduva Junction to the Horton roundabout. In addition, the rule will apply along Baseline Road from the New Kalani Bridge to Baseline Junction. It will also apply on High Level Road from Anula Vidyalaya along Sri Sambuddhatva Jayanti Mawata to Police Park roundabout and up to Library Junction, whilst the lane rule will also be effective from Ananda Kumaraswamy Mawata to Pittala Junction. The traffic lane rule will also be effective from William Junction to Golface roundabout.
Now, meanwhile, the Marine Environment Protection Authority says that the government analyst's report on the water samples collected to determine the level of pollution on marine life caused due to the fire-stricken MT New Diamond are expected to be submitted tomorrow. Meanwhile, a discussion of the steps to be taken related to the oil tanker in future is set to take place tomorrow. The operations are being continuously conducted in rough sea conditions about 52 nautical miles off Kalmune, where the fire-stricken ship is currently located. The captain of the New Diamond oil tanker recorded a statement with the Criminal Investigation Department yesterday. Police spokesman SSP Jalya Sena Ratna said that the recorded statements will be submitted to the courts tomorrow. Divers of the Sri Lanka Navy and Indian Coast Guard and rescue teams engaged in investigative operations in the oil tanker today as well. Under the directives of the Colombo Chief Magistrate Lanka Jayaratna, a team had been deployed to collect oil samples from the oil tanker. The team comprises of officials from Marine Environment Protection Authority, Elon Petroleum Corporation, Sri Lanka Coast Guard and Criminal Investigation Department. The team is expected to reach the oil tanker tomorrow.
A total of 2,996 patients diagnosed with COVID-19 have completely recovered from the disease at present. Meanwhile, only 211 active cases being treated in various hospitals across the country. A total of 24 COVID-19 infected patients have been reported from the country today. 16 new COVID-19 patients have been identified as returnees from Qatar, while 4 have returned from UAE. 2 patients were identified as returnees from Maldives and 1 patient has been reported as a returnee from Ethiopia. Meanwhile, a Ukrainian national arrived from Thailand has also been detected as a COVID-19 patient. So far, a total of 51,792 PCR tests have been conducted across the country, while 1,630 tests were conducted yesterday. The total of 2,996 patients diagnosed with COVID-19 have completely recovered from the disease at a percentage of 93.07%, and the total of active cases being registered in various hospitals across the country stands at 6.55%.
Meanwhile, AstraZeneca has resumed British clinical trials of its COVID-19 vaccine, one of the most advanced in development after receiving the green light from safety watchdogs, the company said yesterday.
A major drug company's hopes of delivering a coronavirus vaccine were lifted on Saturday when safety regulators gave AstraZeneca the go-ahead to resume clinical trials. It comes as a relief for the drug maker. Earlier this week, late-stage tests of its experimental vaccine were suspended when a study subject became ill in the UK. The patient involved had reportedly suffered from neurological symptoms linked to a rare spinal inflammatory disorder. But AstraZeneca, who were working with the University of Oxford, said British authorities had now confirmed it was safe to resume trials. Governments around the world are desperate for a vaccine to help end the global health crisis. Leading US and European developers have said, though, they will not bow to political pressure to rush the process. The World Health Organization has praised AstraZeneca's work as the most promising so far. The company has agreed to supply close to 3 billion doses, more than any other vaccine project.
Austria is experiencing the beginning of the second wave of coronavirus infections as cases spike upward in line with other EU countries. Nearly 29 million people around the world have been diagnosed with the coronavirus, with more than 925,000 COVID-related deaths thus far. India has registered a single-day spike of more than 94,000 new confirmed coronavirus cases, driving the country's overall tally to 4.75 million. Meanwhile, country's total fatalities have increased up to more than 78,000 after recording 1,114 deaths in the past 24 hours. Even as infections are growing faster in India than anywhere else in the world, the number of people recovering from the virus has also risen sharply. India, the second most affected nation in the world, has recorded a recovery rate of 77.77%, with nearly 70,000 recoveries reported every day in the month of September. Meanwhile, Austria's Chancellor Sebastian Kurz has stated that the country is seeing the start of a second wave of coronavirus infections while reimposing protective measures to curb a rise in the new infections. Austria recorded 859 new infections on Friday, the highest daily figure since late March. Austria's leader has claimed that the coronavirus cases in the country will soon hit the 1,000 per day mark. Austria is one of several European countries to see a surge in new cases. In addition, France has reported 10,561 new confirmed COVID-19 cases in the past 24 hours, a new daily record as the number topped 10,000 for the first time since wide-scale testing was launched in the country. The death toll since the start of the COVID-19 outbreak this year has increased up to 30,910, with 17 deaths recorded yesterday. Brazil has reported 814 new coronavirus-related deaths and more than 33,000 additional cases, bringing the death toll up to 131,000 and the infection count to 4.3 million. Brazil has the third highest number of cases worldwide and the second highest number of fatalities. The number of confirmed coronavirus cases in Iran rose by 2,089, exceeding the 400,000 mark, while reporting 128 new deaths in the past 24 hours. The official death toll has increased up to over 23,000 in Iran, one of the worst hit countries in the Middle East. Russia has reported more than 5,000 new coronavirus cases, pushing its national tally to 1.06 million, the fourth largest in the world. Russia has also recorded 94 deaths in the last 24 hours, bringing the official death toll to over 18,000.
And in more stories from home, testifying before the Presidential Commission of Inquiry probing into the East Sunday attacks, former Secretary to the Ministry of Law and Order Jagat P. Vijayveera yesterday stated that since the impression prevailed that the country would be impacted by international influence and Middle Eastern influence in the event of arresting Muslim extremists in the country, it was decided during Security Council meetings to inquire into the matter at state level. Former Ministry Secretary Jagat P. Vijayveera functioned in the post at the Ministry of Law and Order from the 11th of November 2015 to the 12th of December 2017. The former Ministry Secretary stated that although details were revealed on Muslim extremism during Security Council meetings held at the time, Muslims of the Eastern Province allegedly connected to such activities were not arrested. At this point, the judge chairing the commission questioned as to why the attention of the Security Council was focused on international influence and not on domestic influence. The witness responding stated that the former president and the former prime minister advised on being alert in this regard during the Security Council meetings. The witness also stated that former IGP Puljit Jayasundara did not attend the said Security Council meetings, as the then president and the former IGP were in dispute at the time. Therefore, the latter was not summoned to the Security Council meetings. The witness added that he later got to know that former President Maithripala Sirisena had requested of former Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe to remove the IGP. The witness further stated that through the State Intelligence Service, a large amount of information on the National Tawhid Jamaat, its leader Zaharan Hashim and Muslim extremist acts in the country were revealed in 2017. Meanwhile, testifying before the Presidential Commission of Inquiry probing into the Easter Sunday attacks, former Eastern Provincial Senior DIG Edison Gunathilaka yesterday revealed that Muslim extremists armed themselves since the years 2008 and 2009 and propagated extremism on the pretext of opposing the LTT terrorists. Former Eastern Provincial Senior DIG Edison Gunathilaka stated before the Commission that a group including Rishad Batiuddin, MLA, Hizbullah and Atawullah provided cover for these extremists. The witness further stated that in the investigations carried out by him at the time, he discovered that these extremists had connections with the Al-Qaeda and Jihad and that Hizbullah had an extremist organization under him. At this point, the Senior State Counsel questioned as to whether armed groups were operative in the Eastern Province. The witness responded in the affirmative and stated that the individual by the name of Police Faiz and the Alvana Zah group operated armed with weapons under the pretext of opposing the LTTE but were involved in murders, robberies, extorting ransoms and other illegal activities. The Commission then questioned the witness regarding Muslim extremist organizations operating at the time. The witness responded stating that the first such extremist group was formed in 2008 under the name Islamic Center. The witness further stated that former Western Provincial Governor Alawi Maulana had advised against the creation of this group, stating that they are dangerous and a threat to traditional Muslims. The witness added that former Western Provincial Governor Alawi Maulana telephoned him and stated that Tawhid Jamaats, which are regarded as a way of conquering the country, were being created at the time and therefore their activities should not be allowed. The governor had reportedly sent a group of Maulavis to inquire into the situation. The Commission then questioned the witness as to whether he was aware of Zaharan Hashim. The witness answered in the negative and stated that Zaharan's name had been recorded as that of a member belonging to one group, whilst notes had been recorded that Hizbullah functioned as a leader of the armed groups.
A special working committee meeting is set to take place tomorrow to select the new leader of the United National Party. The meeting will be held at the Sirkota party headquarters. Reports have suggested that the working committee meeting will take place 3 p.m. Even though several working committee meetings had taken place in the recent past over the selection of the new leader of the party, each meeting was concluded in an unsuccessful manner. However, reports have indicated that a final agreement will be reached on the party leadership during the meeting scheduled to take place tomorrow. So far, several candidates have extended their nominations for the party leadership. National weekend newspapers had also published exposes in this regard. Accordingly, former Speaker Karu Jayasuriya and former parliamentarians Ruwan Wijewardena and Vajra Abewardena have taken the lead in the party leadership race thus far. The decision on the party nominations for the vacant parliamentary seat is expected to be reached after resolving the issue pertaining to the party leadership.
In the meantime, residents on either side of the Kalani Valley railway line have been dwelling in a precarious environment over the years without permanent lodging available to them. How relieving is it to have a comfortable lodging after years of not having a proper roof over one's head? The dwellings on either side of the Kalani Valley railway line pose a risk to the trains commuting on the line, to the passengers and to the dwellers themselves. The modernization of the Kalani Valley line into a modern electricity-powered track had been delayed over several years. However, under the vision of prosperity of President Gotabaya Rajapaksa, the requirement of upgrading this track has become a priority. The development work is funded by the Asian Development Bank. As a first step in constructing the electric rail track, the residents on either side were evicted. They were granted new houses with all required facilities. As an initial step of the new project, the dwellers on either side of the railway line in the Dematagoda area were evicted. 70 families were provided with housing units in the Lakhiru Sevana flats. The cost involved has been 280 million rupees, whilst the granting of another 100 housing units has commenced. The upgrading of the Kalani Valley railway line is underway and under the railway project launched in the Colombo and suburban areas under the supervision of the Sri Lanka Railways.
A freeway, also called an expressway, is a high-speed multi-lane road designed to occupy certain types of vehicles which could maintain a higher speed level during a drive. Also, bicycles, motorbicycles and three-wheelers are prohibited from entering the expressway However, we have obtained a footage which shows an individual pedaling a bicycle in the Southern Expressway.
With that, we move on to today's red light segment, where we focus on the left side bank of the Kadupiti Oya. What you see now is the left side bank of the upper Kudaveva Kadupiti Oya area. Seepages are reportedly noted at several locations spanning an extent of 200 feet. The area residents point out that around 226 acres of farmlands will be fully destroyed should the bund collapse. They question as to why this slabs cannot be rectified before a disaster takes place. This is for the attention of the State Minister of Rural and Regional Water Supply Projects.
Petha, novel authored by Eric Ilaiapperuma, clinched the Swarna Pustaka Award for the Best Novel of the Year at the Swarna Pustaka Award ceremony held at the BMICH yesterday. The award ceremony was held for the 14th occasion this year. The 5 novels nominated to the final shortlist out of 108 novels submitted for the awards are Ratu Iri and the Other by Professor Liyanage Amarakirti, Nishkrantiya written by Sunetra Rajakaruna, Thi Ha Ta by Surat De Silva, Kumara Kobe authored by Shamil Chakudi, and Petha written by Eric Ilaiapperuma. The final shortlisted novels were presented with awards and prizes. Petha, novel by Eric Ilaiapperuma, claimed the Swarna Pustaka Award for the Best Novel of the Year. The chief guest of the Swarna Pustaka Award ceremony, organized by the Sri Lanka Book Publishers Association, was the chairman of the University Grants Commission, Senior Professor Sampath Amalatunga. Many novelists and experts were present at this ceremony.
Now, the Puttalam Disaster Management Unit states that as the Hamilton Canal has not undergone maintenance over several years, the area residents are severely inconvenienced. When heavy rains are experienced, the canal reportedly overflows, resulting in a flood situation. Several areas in the North Tandia Divisional Secretariat Zone were inundated as a result of rains experienced recently, causing obstructions to vehicular traffic along the North Tandia Kuliapitiya main road. Several houses in the area are reportedly still underwater. Considering the situation, steps were taken to open the gates of the salt bund constructed across the pontoon canal in the North Tandia Tumodra area. These gates had remained closed over 30 years. Naval divers were deployed to open them. This bund had been constructed to prevent seawater entering the Hamilton Canal. Water in the canal had not receded due to congested garbage. Puttalam District Engineer Kamal Vijayaratna, attached to the Irrigation Department, points out that the Hamilton Canal should undergo maintenance as a matter of urgency.